Hi. Are you self-sabotaging relationships and causing men to pull away? Well, here's what you must know. I'm Dr. Diana Kirshner. Welcome to Love in 90 Days Live here on my Facebook page, Dating to True Love Mentor. I'm excited to be with you every Thursday at 2 Eastern to get inspired about love and have fun. So please let me know where you're watching from. I love comments. I jump on here after the live to respond to them and tag someone who should be watching this. And please like and share the video. Now you may be wondering, am I actually self-sabotaging relationships with the very guys I am into, the guys that I actually like? Maybe you've met some great guys, but with each one, you sometimes get this gut feeling, that you're going to get hurt the same old way that you've been hurt before. Even though you're thinking to yourself, this guy's different. He's probably the one. It's not going to happen this time. But you have this kind of gut feeling. And then sadly, it all comes to pass. Again, he disappears. The whole thing really winds up falling apart. And there you are, back to the tissue box and the Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Hey, Maria. And, I was thinking of an Edna St. Vincent Millay quote. She said, "It's not true that life is one damn thing after another. It's one damn thing over and over and over again." And she was describing what I call the deadly dating patterns. And these are unconscious ways that we have of self-sabotaging relationships. I myself used to do it all the time when I was dating. It can really, really happen. And it's very, very disconcerting when you find yourself in the same old dead end pattern. But just recognizing your own deadly dating pattern can be very, very freeing. And today we're going to talk about 3 common patterns. In fact, they're the most common patterns that really wind up self-sabotaging, where you wind up really causing yourself loss and pain. The first one is what I call the flame out, and this is one of the most common and deadliest dating pattern. You meet somebody and whammo, you're in bed, you're having 8-hour conversations. He's totally, seems like, he gets you. It's incredible. You have mind-blowing sex, maybe even unprotected sex, which I don't recommend. But the energy is so incredible. Hey, Joya. The energy is so incredible. The energy is so incredible that you're just right there, drawn like a moth to a flame. And he seems to be saying or indicating he wants to spend the rest of his life with you. At least that's the way you're reading what he's saying. And then what happens after that amazing coming together, and you're already thinking, how you're going to have this wedding on the beach? Nada. He ghosts, he disappears on you. You never get a text, gone, and you're left there making excuses for why he's not contacting you. Now, with the flame out, often you're coming across as too eager, sometimes even desperate, and often the guy will think, well, you're probably doing this with every guy that you're going out with. This is your MO. It's not like I'm special, but you're probably jumping into bed with every man. And often in terms of a long-lasting relationship, a man actually wants a woman that he has to work for, who is showing high value. Think about it. What is the perceived value of something that just falls in your lap? Something that just falls in your lap is not a very high perceived value, right? So that's the flame out deadly dating pattern. The second pattern is the "I'll make you love me." Hey, Betty. The "I'll make you love me," and that's where you're turned on by the challenge of winning over a guy who has potential. So you work overtime in terms of making him love you. You're hopping into bed. You're making him exotic dinners. You may be getting him tickets to the playoffs. You're his love slave, his chef, his therapist, his savior. But one thing that you're not being is authentic. You may feel like you're not that lovable, or that, if you started for asking for things for yourself, it might be a drain. And all you want is for him to stay and never leave you, to choose you as his forever love. But when you're doing an I'll make you love me pattern, what you get is a phone that never buzzes to announce his text. I mean, it just never ever works, because you're not being real. And then of course you finally get the horrible news on Facebook often that he's with some other girl who is a girly girl who totally wants him to take care of her. And you think, how stupid can men be? I mean, seriously. But the thing is that you were never real. You were never real with him. And when a person's not real, they're actually boring. It's like being with yourself. If you're being with someone who is totally turning themselves around to be what you want them, what they think that you want them to be, it's actually a very boring, empty kind of situation. You become boring in that kind of relationship. Here's how it's described by Sheila, a woman who was in the I'll make you love me deadly dating pattern. She says, I've only had a few real long-lasting relationships. The worst part is that in each one, I felt like I lost myself, my friends, my whole identity. I would come home and just do what he was doing, or hang out with his friends. I felt like I was being compromised, yet I wanted the relationship and really loved this person. Now, the weird thing is that somehow in each relationship, the guy came to the conclusion that we were very different people, which is the paradox here, that we were very different people. So we broke up and went our separate ways, So, the thing is, you cannot make anyone love you. It's either there or it's not there. You just cannot make anyone love you, period, end of story. The third self-sabotaging relationship pattern that drives men away is what I call the chase me. And this is so insidious. You meet this guy and it's unbelievable. And he really is your soulmate. He is incredible. Everything is unfolding perfectly. The sex is good. He may be using the L word. Everything is just going along. It's even better than you ever dreamed of, better than you ever expected. And what happens in the chase me pattern is that all of a sudden, your own commitment fears raise their ugly head. And all of a sudden, against your own will, you find yourself running away while secretly hoping that he'll chase after you. And it's so powerful. It's just so powerful, even if he's acting very loving, you insist that he doesn't really love you. This pattern is so insidious. It's so insidious, and it happens almost against your own will and for no particular reason. It just seems to be happening. It seems to be taking you over, this chase me pattern. And basically, you ultimately wind up leaving the man before he can hurt you. This way you can control the heartbreak. You can actually be in this sense of control where you're pushing him away. Then it's almost like being right. You're right, So when he actually does disappoint you and does disappear on you, you say, see, I was right. I knew it all along. So let me describe this pattern. Shoko, a lawyer in our Love Mentor program, describes her chase me pattern. John was an up-and-coming superstar lawyer in a firm we often went up against. I loved to watch him work, even when we were on opposite sides of a case. One day, we wound up having dinner, going to my place, and hooking up. It was off the charts. John and I were on the same wavelength. We got each other without having to say a word. After 4 weeks of juicy dating, he used the L word, and for some reason, I felt totally turned off. Now, there's the red flag right there. I felt totally turned off. This guy's saying, I love you. She says, I feel totally turned off. I took a 3-month assignment in Vegas, and he came to visit me regularly. So this guy's going out of his way to visit her. We talked about living together back in Chicago, but I told him to go out with other women in the meantime, just to be sure. So she's telling him, go out with other women. I don't know what possessed me to say that, but when he asked if I was kidding, I said no. Wow. I think I wanted him to sweep me up in his arms and tell me how ridiculous that was. Instead, he got this sad look on his face and left. I never once told him how I really felt about him and gave him very little encouragement. I hear that he's gotten married, and meanwhile, I'm still waiting for Mr. Right. So that is that insidious pattern, the chase me pattern. That's the third kind of pattern that causes men to pull away. And happy to say that Shoko actually broke her pattern by working with a love mentor coach who held her accountable for not acting out this pattern of pushing love away. You know, just totally pushing love away when it actually begins to unfold for real. And so she's doing very, very well. So there you have the three top, I would say, self-sabotaging relationship patterns that make men pull away. And you can actually have all three. I know when I was dating, I actually had all three. I would play out different patterns with different guys. And this is really, really powerful and insidious. There are actually 13 deadly dating patterns, and I go over them in Love in 90 Days, which you may want to pick up a copy of really get on top of, because understanding these unconscious patterns really begins to free you. And another thing that you can do to free yourself is to actually date against type. Date against type, right? So, you know, maybe don't pick out the guy who is like unbelievably hot and attractive and amazing where you're going to do a flame out. Maybe pick out a guy who is really into you, but he may not look the way you ordinarily want the guy to look that you're dating, right? So he's totally into you, so you don't have to make him love you. Or if you're in the chase me pattern, what works out great is to pick a type of guy who's extremely confident, and he's confident in himself, right? And he knows he's going to go get what he wants. And so when you do the chase me, push away thing, he will go after you. But still, it's not great to act these patterns out. So the main thing is to try to nip it in the bud. If you see yourself acting out unconsciously this way around love, you know, nip it in the bud. Stop yourself from shooting yourself in the foot. You can do that. You can do that. And another huge resource that's available for you is you could have a free 40-minute love mentor coaching session by phone or Skype with one of my expert love mentor coaches, which is incredible. It's an incredible experience. And, you know, if you feel stuck in any pattern or any dating difficulty, definitely take advantage of that. Go to lovein90days.com. That's lovein90days.com. Click on the coaching tab, fill out the form, and please put in that you came from Facebook, so I know you're part of my posse. I love you guys. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Love in 90 Days, and that's all one word, Love in 90 Days. And please hit the bell so you'll get notified when I have some new videos. Anyway, I'm wishing you loads of love. You guys are fantastic. I love you. Take care.